On January 4th, 2012, a user on the image board 4chan posted a single grainy image to the paranormal board. There was no context, no username, just white text on a black background that issued a challenge to the entire internet. Hello, we are looking for highly intelligent individuals. To find them, we have devised a test. There is a hidden message in this image. Find it, and it will lead you on the road to finding us. Good luck. 3,301. Most people scrolled past it. They assumed it was a prank, a troll, or a viral marketing stunt for a new video game. But a few curious users downloaded the image and opened it in a text editor. And that is where the rabbit hole opened. What began as a simple image file would evolve into the most complex, widespread, and technically sophisticated puzzle in the history of the internet. A recruitment drive that spanned the digital world and the physical one. This wasn't a game. It was a hiring process. The first clue wasn't visible to the naked eye. When users opened the image file in a simple text editor like WordPad, they found a text string appended to the very end of the raw code. Tiberivs clavdivs. It was a reference to the Roman Emperor Claudius. For a cryptographer, the name Claudius points to the Caesar cipher, one of the oldest encryption methods in history. It simply shifts letters down the alphabet. By applying a shift of 4, because Claudius was the fourth emperor, the code decoded to a URL. But the URL didn't lead to the next stage. It led to a picture of a wooden duck. The text on the image mocked them. Whoops, just decoys this way. Looks like you can't guess how to get the message out. The amateur sleuths gave up here. They thought it was a dead end. But the serious engineers noticed the phrasing. Guess. Out. It was a reference to a tool called OutGuess. OutGuess is an older steganography tool. Steganography is the art of hiding data inside other data, specifically manipulating the least significant bits of an image's pixels. It doesn't change how the image looks to the eye, but it changes the math of the file. When they ran the duck image through OutGuess, it extracted a hidden text file. The real puzzle had just begun. The hidden file contained a sequence of numbers separated by colons. To a layman, it looked like gibberish. To a codebreaker, it was a book cipher. The numbers represented a page, a line, and a character. But to read it, you needed the key, the specific book the numbers referred to. The clue lay in the previous message's code. It pointed to the Mabinogion, a collection of medieval Welsh manuscripts. When applied to the text, the numbers spelled out a phone number, 214-390-9608. The internet dialed. The line picked up. A robotic, synthesized voice spoke. Very good. You have done well. There are 3 prime numbers associated with the original final JPEG image. 3301 is one of them. You will find the other 2. Multiply them all together to find a URL. Good luck. 3301. Click. The puzzle wasn't just about code anymore. It was about number theory. Solvers multiplied the pixel dimensions of the original image by 3,301. The product was a new website address. A countdown clock appeared. When the clock hit 0, Cicada 3301 stopped being a digital curiosity. It invaded the physical world. 14 sets of GPS coordinates appeared on the screen. They weren't in one city. They were everywhere. Warsaw, Paris, Seattle, Seoul, Arizona, California, Hawaii, Sydney. The internet had to leave its chair. In 14 cities around the world, volunteers raced to the coordinates. What they found, taped to telephone poles and street lamps, were simple sheets of white paper. On the paper was the Cicada image and a QR code. This changed the profile of the creator instantly. Cicada 3301 wasn't a lone hacker in a basement. It was an organization. It had resources. It had operatives on the ground in multiple continents, capable of synchronized physical drops. This level of coordination ruled out trolls. It ruled out bored teenagers. The theories exploded. Was it the CIA? The NSA recruiting cryptographers? MI6? Or a global mercenary group? Whoever they were watching. And they were filtering. As the puzzle gained fame, copycats appeared. Trolls started posting fake clues to derail the solvers. But Cicada had foreseen this. From the very first message, they used PGP, pretty good privacy. PGP uses a pair of keys, a public key to encrypt and a private key to sign. Only the holder of the private key can generate a signature that validates against the public key. Every legitimate Cicada message carried this cryptographic signature. It was the only way to prove identity in an anonymous space. If a message didn't have the PGP signature, it was noise. This taught the solvers a lesson in operational security. Trust nothing but the math. Authority doesn't come from a username, it comes from the encryption. This obsession with privacy and anonymity suggested that Cicada wasn't a government agency. Governments want backdoors. Cicada wanted total secrecy. Then, just as the solvers were closing in, the website went dark. A final message appeared. We want the best, not the followers. The first round was over. A year of silence followed. Then, on January 4th, 2013, a second round began. And in 2014, a third. But the 2014 puzzle brought something new, a sacred text. Cicada released a book called the Lieber Primus, or First Book. It was a manifesto written in deep code. Instead of English, it was written in Runic, a custom alphabet designed specifically for this puzzle. Cryptographers had to decipher the language before they could even begin to decipher the meaning. The text contained philosophical musings on the nature of information, privacy, and the, quote, simulation. A warning: believe nothing from this book, except what you know to be true. It felt religious, cult-like. Solvers managed to translate some of the pages using frequency analysis, but the vast majority of the Lieber Primus remains unsolved to this day. This was the firewall. The Lieber Primus wasn't just a puzzle, it was a barrier. Cicada stated clearly, "We have found those we were looking for." And then, silence. What happens when you win the hardest game on the internet? Normally, you brag. You post the solution. You claim your prize. But with Cicada 3301, the winners did something strange. They vanished. Years later, a leak surfaced. An individual named Thomas Cowan claimed to have completed the path. He provided an email from Cicada. It welcomed him into the brood. According to Cowan, the finalists were invited to a darknet site called CAKES. Inside, they weren't asked to spy or hack banks. They were asked to build software, tools to protect privacy, tools to protect whistleblowers. Cicada 3301 claimed to be a think tank dedicated to liberty and privacy. But the group fractured. Some winners wanted recognition. Cicada demanded silence. The site was shut down. The winners were cut loose. Since 2014, the PGP key has remained dormant. Copycats have appeared. Fake puzzles have been launched. But the true cryptographic signature of Cicada 3301 has not been used. The Lieber Primus sits on hard drives around the world, partially translated, waiting. The coordinates haven't updated. The phone numbers are dead. But the question remains, did the puzzle end because they gave up? Or did it end because they found everyone they needed? Cicada 3301 remains the internet's greatest mystery because it refuses to satisfy our curiosity. We assume that because we didn't see the ending, there wasn't one. But in the world of intelligence, if you can see the message, it wasn't meant for you. It didn't want an audience. It wanted operatives. And judging by the silence, it got them. The test is over. If you're still looking for the answer, you failed.